Welcome back to the Response Drivers Podcast, where we feature top marketing minds and dig into their inspiring stories. Learn how these leaders think and find big ideas to push your results and sales to the next level. Now, let's get started.
Hey, it's Rappe here, host of the Response Drivers Podcast, where we feature marketing executives, experts, and innovators to uncover how they approach targeted marketing and use data-driven strategies to acquire and retain customers. We'll talk about what's working, what's changing, and how you can stay ahead in an evolving marketing landscape. This episode is brought to you by RPM Direct Marketing. RPM helps companies master and perfect direct mail marketing and turn it into a predictable, efficient sales channel. For companies that are new to direct mail, the rapid performance method accelerates testing and optimization, ensuring higher response rates and more sales at a lower cost. For existing mailers, RPM uncovers opportunities for innovation, quickly leading to breakthrough performance and significant cost savings. With a proven track record, RPM delivers smarter, more profitable direct mail solutions. You can visit rpmdm.com to learn more. Today, I'm here with Chad Franzen of Rise25, who has done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs. And we're going to flip the script, and he'll be interviewing me to learn a little bit about why we're starting this podcast. Thanks for joining me, Chad.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit more about you and about RPM and about the value of direct mail. I've done all sorts of interviews, as you mentioned, and you're the first person I've talked to about direct mail. So looking forward to getting into it. Hey, as we get started here, just tell me a little bit about your background, maybe before RPM, and kind of how things went at that time.
Yeah, well, I started as a project manager in a large agency. Initially I was working on nonprofit accounts and fundraising, and then I moved into a different agency as a young professional, where I was a project manager and a production coordinator, working on big direct mail programs for commercial clients. And so that's where I really got started. And I quickly switched over into the account services side and started working as an account executive, and then climbing the ladder, trying within that department. And that's where I got involved with the AT&T account, which became one of my big learning experiences in the industry. Back then, I started as working on the Southwest region campaign for the AT&T program, which was, they were looking to try and find higher performance from their direct mail program. So we developed a big test program that focused on offers and creative packages and different list segments and list targeting. And through that test campaign, we were able to really crack the code and bring their performance levels for direct mail, increase their performance levels, bringing their cost per sale way down in the process. And that made direct mail a really successful sales channel for the Southwest region. And then from there, AT&T looked at all their regions and said, which one is the most successful? And the Southwest region program became the national sales program for AT&T. And it grew and grew and grew and grew. And so I managed the AT&T program for a little over 10 years. And like I said, it became the national sales program and grew into a size of about, I believe our budget was about $100 million a year. And we were mailing over 1 million pieces every day. So it became a very exciting account for me to work on, and an enormous learning experience. I got to test and learn as much as I could to try and keep that program performing and moving forward. And it was a very exciting time in my career, and that's how I got started.
Yeah, that's great. Good to know. So, you were in charge of a very successful program there in the Southwest. What were some of maybe the guiding principles that you used to build that kind of a program?
Yeah, well, luckily I had some great people in the agency to learn from. And I think I kind of took their approach and added bits and pieces of my own approach onto it. But some of the most important things that I learned over the years working on that account was, number one, you have to start with a really clear objective in mind. And for us on the AT&T program, that was the cost per sale number. That was the key metric. And I think cost per sale was super important because it was looking at the cost, but also looking at the results. And that was critical in learning how to think about direct marketing. I mean, if you only think about the costs, that's one sort of mentality. But really what matters is how much are you spending for a sale, right? Not how much you're spending for a piece of mail. So that was important. First, establish clear objectives. The second thing that was critically important for our success in that program was to establish winning programs very quickly. So we developed a very focused head-to-head testing process. One of the major advantages of direct mail is that we can test multiple things all at the same time. You hear about A/B testing. We do A, B, C, D, E, F, G testing, and and we can learn things rapidly. So the idea there is like design tests in your direct mail that give you an enormous amount of learning very quickly. And then the third thing that I think was critically important was to think about a multiple program sort of channel building strategy rather than just a single program. It's always good to think ahead, think multiple moves ahead, and that was critically important. Um, Another key learning guiding principle from the AT&T program was to just manage risk, reduce risk. So once we had a proven control package, it's very critically important that we stick with that control package and not tweak it, because once we've proven these things work, they become predictable sales channels, and we're driving leads into big groups of telesales reps that are answering the phone. And we don't want to start tweaking things and let people go, oh, I want to change this, because that can obviously crash the performance of a program without any warning. So we have to be really careful to protect what works. The next critical idea that I would say I learned over the years was you have to assume that things are going to fatigue and that things are going to stop working at some point. And so we need to continue testing all the time to continue pushing performance, increasing and improving performance, but also so that you have a new control that you can pivot to or move to before your existing control package sort of fails. Mm-hmm. I think those are some of the most important things. I mean, we also it's critically important to have flawless execution. Obviously, direct mail has a lot of moving pieces. We have the creative, the offer, the lists, the production of the mail piece, printing, personalization, logistics of delivery. All these things come into play. So we have to have flawless execution because obviously there's some complex testing strategy going on, and all of that can just be ruined, right? If you don't execute the campaign properly. And I think one of the last guiding principles, actually two more guiding principles that I want to mention. One is that we have to focus on opportunities to reduce costs. That's important. Once you find a winner, we start looking at how can we fine tune this to drive cost down. What can we do to tweak this where we won't hurt performance, but we'll make it more and more efficient. So we're constantly testing to improve efficiency, as well as testing to sort of find the next big idea. So we're working in two directions at the same time. And lastly, I guess that's the last idea really is you have to constantly be working to bring new ideas to the table, to test and innovate. You have to build a pipeline of new ideas from multiple sources and keep that pipeline running at all times to keep your program, fresh and continuing to work.
So it sounds like you had to kind of approach it with multiple mindsets, like a strategic and creative mindset, an operational mindset to ensure efficiency, and then a financial mindset, and then kind of operational in terms of the efficiency.
Yeah, initially in an initial program, everything is a test, and you're testing to crack the code, right? When you're building a new program from the ground up, which is what we do today. For a lot of our clients, they come to us and they say, well, we don't have direct mail yet. We really want to build a direct mail sales channel. And so this is where we come in and we use our experience and our expertise, and we work to crack the code and get to their target cost per sale. But once you have a program up and running, then it becomes like, okay, we have this sales channel that we're relying on now, and we have to fragment our or segment our thinking. And might say, well, let's put 80% of our program into something that's tried and true and proven and not mess with it. Leave it alone and do what works. And then the 20% is R&D budget, where we're trying to beat the performance and optimize and learn and continue to push performance farther. So it's a scientific approach. I mean, we try to be data driven, obviously, in direct marketing. That's one of the beautiful parts of doing direct mail. Why I personally love it so much is because it's data driven and we can test and measure and learn. But it's also about reducing risk. And I think one of the things that I love about this type of marketing is that, pretty quickly we can move away from guessing and guesswork and move into proven data driven ideas.
So you're working there in the agency world, and things are it seems like you're being very successful. You're learning a lot of very valuable things, but then you left the agency world. When and why did that happen?
In the early 2000s, late 2006 and 2007, I left the agency world. At the time, what I really ran into was the size of the agency was growing. The agency that I worked for was getting larger and larger, and it was actually purchased by a big New York holding company. So we had, bosses back in New York, and the agency got bigger and bigger and more bureaucratic and slower and more expensive, and it just became more and more difficult to get work done. Part of the game with agencies are to hire junior level people and then have, older, more experienced people managing their work and checking their work. But that becomes very inefficient. And it's a great way to maximize profit, I guess, for the folks back in New York. But it's not a really good experience for customers, for clients. So I just came to the conclusion that the agency that I worked for was just way too large and too difficult, and that I was frustrated with the service that I was able to provide for my clients. So I went out on my own, and at first I became a consultant and went to work with some other large agencies and some really large accounts like DirecTV, LifeLock, Simply Safe, big accounts like that. And then I started acting as a small agency and building a team of people here so that we could, serve clients' needs and handle their programs from start to finish.
Okay, very nice. So then that led up to founding RPM. Kind of tell me that origin story.
Yeah, well, RPM was really built out of that frustration, and I decided to start a smaller agency and really to strip down the agency to its bare minimum, its core elements. And I felt that really allowed me to be more efficient with my time and serve clients' needs better. We're way more nimble. We're able to be way more cost effective for our clients with a smaller size agency. And we just don't have all the wasted effort that goes into a bigger agency. We're all senior level direct marketing experts, so that allows us to just be faster and more efficient is what it's all about.
Okay. So let's kind of address the elephant in the room. I'm kind of wondering, along with probably anybody under the age of 30 that might be listening or watching, in today's world, maybe it's kind of a digital world where there's a lot of digital marketing. Why is direct mail still valuable and something that businesses should consider doing if they don't already?
Yeah, well, direct mail's been effective and been working for a long, long time. So it's just a classic, tried and true tactic. I think in today's digital world, one of the reasons why clients are coming back to direct mail and companies are coming back to direct mail now is because of what's happening with digital marketing. I mean, there's a lot of digital disengagement and digital, I guess I'd say digital fragmentation. Consumers are starting to opt out of a lot of the digital platforms that they've been in, So I think it's harder and harder for marketers to reach their target market on digital platforms. I mean, they can reach part of their target market on digital platforms, but there's just so much clutter There's so much noise there. And when customers are online, they're just absolutely bombarded with all types of marketing from a million different directions. So it's just getting harder and harder to get your message through there. I mean, just think about email, for example. I get hundreds of emails a day that make it through into my inbox, but there's also all the emails that don't get through into my inbox that get filtered out. And I have like multiple layers of filters on my emails that are preventing messages from getting through. That plus, there's kind of a crisis of trust, I think, in digital marketing. A lot of digital marketing is essentially free for people to send out. And so people realize that digital marketing is full of things that, are scams and are not legit. And that makes it difficult for consumers to have any trust in what they're getting. I mean, so a lot of things just get ignored because of that. So I think companies are starting to look at what else can I do? What can I do to sell my products? And a lot of companies realize that yes, the digital universe is important, and we do spend a lot of time on our digital devices every day, but we are in the physical world 24 hours a day also. And direct mail is a great tool because it reaches into everyone's home, and nearly 100% of the people out there can receive mail. So it's a great way to reach the entire target market. There's other advantages as well, which I'm happy to go into in more detail.
Sure. So, when I go to the mailbox and I bring stuff back, the trust is never an issue when I receive a piece of marketing material. What is something? I mean, I'm sure we could do an entire episode on this, but if you have like a Cliff Notes version of this answer, what is something that would catch my eye or something like that so it wouldn't just be like, okay, I'm going through this. Is there something maybe in a piece of direct mail that would like cause me to stop and take note of it?
Yeah. Well, we think so. I mean, this is what we've been testing and learning for 30 years in my career is what gets performance, what works, what grabs people's attention. So we definitely have strong opinions about these things. It just depends on what your offer is and what your product is. In certain cases, if your offer is really simple, a postcard is a great thing to mail out, and it's a low cost format. It's a quick read. It's like getting a little billboard in the mailbox. I mean, and those things can work and do work in the right situation. In other cases, we like to do things that are more official looking, for example, in the mail. And that might be something that we like to think about how people bring their mail in from the mailbox and how they sort their mail. And if they sort their mail into sort of bills and important things, if we can get in that pile, then people will spend a little bit more time reading it and engaging with it. And we can have a little bit longer sales message and explain a product that's a little bit more difficult to not immediately something that will grab you. So we use different tactics for different situations, and we're testing and measuring like different concepts and different hypotheses about what will work, and then we want to basically see the results and let the market really ultimately decide and tell us what works, and then we move in that direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Well, this is very interesting stuff. I'm sure podcast listeners will learn a lot more about it in great detail when they tune in. Tell me, as the host of the podcast, what are you looking most forward to? This is kind of one of your first episodes for the future. What are you looking most forward to?
Well, I'm excited about connecting with experts in our industry and people who've done amazing things with direct marketing and who have really interesting stories to tell. I mean, I just have a lot of curiosity about. I think I have a really strong opinion about how direct mail and direct marketing should work, and I want to learn from other people and follow my curiosity and just get to know interesting people and see. I'm sure there's lots of other ideas out there besides the ones that I have, and I'm curious to learn more.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. Well, I'll look forward to tuning into future episodes. Thanks so much for having me today, Rick. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chad. It's been fun, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Welcome back to the Response
So long,
Drivers
everybody.
Podcast, where we feature top marketing minds and dig into their inspiring stories. Learn how these leaders think and find big ideas to push your results and sales to the next level. Now, let's get started.